Yo! Which city builder is the best? That is the question I asked myself a couple of weeks ago, and by city builder I meant actual real life cities. I decided that I would pick 3 games that I think represent this genre the best, that being Simcity, City Skylines, and City Skylines 2. I started with Simcity. Running it for the first time takes a little bit of configuration, and for some reason there are different copies of Simcity, and if you own that one copy that you don't want, you are basically doomed. I turned on the Simcity and started laying down my first city. I placed everything that is necessary and just watched the city grow. I always had something to do in the city, especially with DLC that added a bunch of more stuff like those big towers or academy with which you can unlock even more new buildings. Or this Omega Co bullshit that I don't know how it works, but it works. Specializations are quite fun as well. You can basically build a scam filled city or American style city, which as you can see I decided on in this run. Or you can become another Europe by building a lot of cool stuff. Oh, by the way, I have that one great DLC for SimCity that I didn't buy, but I still got it somehow. It is sad that it is the last game in the SimCity series, but Maxis did make some questionable decisions when making this game. For example, make it only online at the start. I remember players got concerned at the time on what happens when EA decides to close the servers. Will the game just not be playable anymore? And that limitation that forced you to play in such a small square, it is very annoying. City Skylines 1. For starters, running this game smoothly is hard. For some reason the vanilla version of the game lags no matter what, and the loading screens are so fucking long. I had to actually download some mods from Steam Workshop that fixes those issues, but come on, it should be implemented in the game. I had a lot of troubles at the beginning keeping the city running. I had a few runs that failed until I realized I should spam residential regions as much as I can. After that I finally had a city that didn't go bankrupt. There are some improvements over SimCity, for example you have to manually cover your city with pipes. Speaking of improvements, there are a lot of new mechanics introduced in the shit ton of DLCs they made. It is a Paradox published game after all. You can build campuses, parks, you have DLC for snow and for stuff that your people can do after night. I did try, for example, specializations that I don't know whenever they are in vanilla games or not, either way they are confusing. At some point the city stopped growing, I don't know why, maybe it was because of traffic, hard to tell. City Skylines doesn't have a lot of cool or handy stuff that SimCity has, for example building upgrades or research technologies in college. I did want to make this city 100k population, but then the tsunami came, flooded half the city, which caused bankruptcy, and since the city growth was already minimal, so I decided to fuck this shit and just move on. Mixed Skylines 2. I was kind of excited for the game in 2023, but when it was released and the fears of bad optimization were confirmed, I just forgot about this game. Anyway, the first things I noticed were some things that were improved. For example, placing roads is now much better. And I have no idea how they could release a game with such a fucking bad optimization that is barely playable, but I played it anyway. The economic system is weird. In my first attempt I built some buildings and were over budget. I didn't know how to fix it, so I tried to lower the actual payment for those utilities I placed, but still nothing. I just simply went bankrupt. Finally, they added building upgrades. You can set the range of certain buildings as well. I had a lot of fun building the city larger and larger, but the problem was something I already encountered in City Skylines 1 as well. Slow simulation time. It is very hard for me to say something more about the game, as it is very similar to its predecessor, with maybe lacking a lot of features, mostly from DLCs that the first game had. It is basically an improved vanilla version of City Skylines. I wanted to go further with the city, but the poor optimization and slow simulation speed stopped me from doing so. Even though SimCity is a now 30 years old game, it is still worth picking up, especially because it is not as laggy as any of the City Skylines. It has also a lot of creative mechanics that other games do not have. City Skylines is a game with its own issues. The fact that you have to use mods just to play it somehow smoothly is annoying. But if you go through the Spain, the experience is quite enjoyable, especially for its price. Speaking of which, $50 for a game that you cannot play unless you have computer from NASA is just fucking wrong. If the City Skylines 1 and 2 were equally priced, I would honestly pick the sequel even though it has less features. But it is not worth picking up for that price. So I guess every game has its own big cons and pros. The moral of the story is that fuck those games and just play OpenTDD.